Ever since I started playing video games, I've had a fascination with discovering each title's elusive Easter eggs, which at the time was extremely tough, especially without the help of the internet. What I loved the most was Nintendo's willingness to include these throughout every game in the franchise, always paying homage to past entries and iconic characters. Mario is no different, and in today's video, we're going to look at every Easter egg in each and every game in that series. Now, I have already made a secrets video focusing on Mario, so there might be some slight overlap, but I'll try to keep everything as fresh as possible. Oh yeah, and before I get started, my name is Copycat, and if you haven't yet, then please subscribe to my channel, and hit that bell button to stay notified when I upload new videos. Also, I am selling this really cool hoodie in celebration for hitting 100k subscribers, so please check it out in the links down below. The very first game in the series is Super Mario Bros. For the NES, which was released in North America in 1985. Even though video games were much simpler during this era, Nintendo still put in several Easter eggs, including a few that I didn't even know about. The first is that according to the game's manual, the Koopas that invaded Mushroom Kingdom turned the Mushroom People into bricks that you see in each level. That means every time you break a brick as Super Mario, you're technically killing a mushroom person. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be toads, but either way that's pretty morbid. Another Easter egg that I had no idea about is one that actually gives you a free continue, meaning you can return to the world that you died in instead of going all the way back to World 1-1. This is very easy to achieve, as all you have to do is hold A during the game over screen, and when the player select option comes up, just press start. The very last Easter egg I want to talk about from this game occurs when you touch the end flagpole at very specific times, which actually trigger fireworks. If you've played this original Mario game, then you may have thought this mechanic was random, but what actually happens is when you end the regular level with either 1, 3, or 6 as the last digit on the timer, this releases the corresponding amount of fireworks. Just as a note, you can tell I'm not really including glitches or exploits in this video unless I'm 100% sure that the developers added them for the players to find. Like I said, I have a few other videos covering those topics on my channel, so if you think I might be missing something, then most likely I've talked about them in one of those. I feel like I have to mention for the billionth time that Super Mario Bros. 2 for the NES isn't the true sequel that was released in Japan, and the Western version is actually a reskin of a game called Yumi Kojo Doki Doki Panic. Nintendo even acknowledges this fact with a cutscene at the end of the game, showing Mario fast asleep in his bed, revealing that it was all just a dream. Because this game isn't technically a true Mario title, Easter eggs aren't as common, but there are still a few that I want to mention. One that I had no clue about is a strange way to cause your character to instantly lose a life. This is done by pausing the game, then on the second controller pressing B and A, then holding up and unpausing. For some reason this will cause you to instantly die, which I'm assuming was included in the game's development stage as a way for you to restart if you got stuck on a level because of a glitch. The only other Easter egg I want to talk about is a reference to the original game, which comes in the form of its theme that plays each time you enter the magic potion door. However, you can take it one step further and get the music to play much longer if you perform a very complicated glitch. To do this, you need to find a potion, hold it, and collect cherries to get a star, grabbing it immediately, throwing down the door, then entering the subspace. Stay in the spot until your star's effect wears off, and the subspace door closes and you return to the normal area. If you did it right, then the game will glitch and you'll be able to enjoy this classic Mario theme for the rest of the level. One of my all-time favorite games in the series is Super Mario Bros. 3, which is the last of the original trilogy to be released on the NES in 1990. One of the best Easter eggs comes during the title screen, where Nintendo hints that what's happening behind the scenes is that the characters are all part of a play, with the curtains pulling back, revealing the actors on the stage. This is a theme that shows up in other Mario titles, insinuating that Mario is either an actor or unwilling participant in some sort of story. An Easter egg I actually didn't know about happens when you beat the game completely, then start a new adventure without restarting your system. When you check your inventory, you'll discover that you now have 28 P-Wings at your disposal, meaning your next playthrough will be much easier and you can discover new secrets at the top of certain stages. The last thing I want to talk about from this game is something I actually had no clue about, which is that the Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 3 is actually harder than the Western version. The main example of this is that if you're powered up by a Super Leaf in the Western version and take damage, you'll return to Super Mario form, but in the Japanese version, you'll instead power down all the way to Small Mario, making things much more difficult. There's probably so many things I overlooked from this game, so if you think there's something I left out, then please let me know in the comments below. The very first handheld game in the series is Super Mario Land, which was released for the Game Boy in 1989. In my Best Secrets video, I talked about the hidden hard mode that becomes unlocked after you fully beat the initial game. However, there's an even more secret Easter egg that reveals itself after you beat the game twice, where you can now change the level during the start menu, letting you replay whichever one you please. Without a save feature, this is a bit of a pain to return to, but is something useful for players who are die-hard speedrunners. Super Mario World, released for the SNES in 1990, has a few Easter eggs that all revolve around the very secret Special World. This world is an extra area that's only accessed by finding the secret exit in each of the already secretive Star World levels. The first Easter egg in the Special World takes place at the top of the area's map, as you can see 4 colors that are synonymous with the SNES, but even more so with the Japanese Super Famicom. Once you complete each of the levels, then things will begin to change around the game, starting with the music that plays in this Special World, as it's now a remix of the original Super Mario Bros. Theme. Completing this world also changes the overworld map, adding seasons to the different areas while also changing enemies throughout the levels into weird Mushroom Kingdom people. This is a nice Easter egg in a game that's already full of secrets. The next game in the series I'm going to talk about is Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, which was released in North America alongside Super Mario All-Stars for the SNES. This true Japanese sequel to the original NES classic has one huge Easter egg secret in the game's A to D worlds. These secret extra levels are actually pretty tough to unlock, as in the Japanese version, you need to beat the game a total of 8 times to gain the 8 profile stars on the title screen. Then hold A and press start, which will send you to World A. In the SNES version, you just have to beat the game without warping, which really makes me wonder why Nintendo treated the two populations so differently. The second handheld game in the series, Super Mario Land 2 for the Game Boy, is full of Easter eggs, some of which are obvious and some that are extremely hidden. One that isn't apparent at all is that you can actually put the game into easy mode by going over your save file, then pressing select. When you start to play, you'll notice that there are way less enemies in each level, and some bosses only take 1 hit to defeat. Another file select Easter egg that's a bit more apparent is when you turn into Bomb Mario when you want to clear a file. This is a really neat visual Easter egg that Nintendo decided to include, which really looks like something out of Super Mario Odyssey. One of the most secretive Easter eggs occurs if you wait on the game over screen for exactly 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Here, a 19-note melody can be heard, which is from Nintendo's famous composer Katsumi Totaka. Take a listen. Next, we're going to look at one obscure Easter egg that's a reference to Nintendo's long forgotten about Lego clone that can be found in the 4th level of the Mario Zone. If you're like me, then you probably thought that Nintendo was just referencing Legos during this stage, but Eagle Eye fans will notice that on one of the blocks, there's the engraving N and B on its side. This is a reference to Nintendo's failed rounded building blocks that came out way before they were a worldwide video game company in 1968. Although a good idea and a solid LEGO competitor, N and B blocks just never took off, mainly due to the fact that the pieces didn't fit well together, but also because going up against a giant like LEGO is no easy feat. In the space zone, there's a secret word written out in the stars that's hard to notice when you're playing, but when you look at the layout of the stage, you can't miss it. Nintendo still to this day includes words throughout their levels, but for the most part this appears as a thank you once you've beaten the game. The last Easter egg from Super Mario Land 2 I want to talk about is a reference to a very popular horror movie villain that can be found in the game's enemy from the Pumpkin Zone called Jason. This is an obvious Jason Voorhees nod from the Friday the 13th movies, which is strange to see in a Mario game, especially one this obvious. The first 3D experience in the franchise is Super Mario 64, which was released for the N64 in 1996. An Easter egg from this title that almost everyone knows about by this point is getting on top of the castle roof, which can be achieved early through a glitch jump, but is usually unlocked by collecting the game's 120 stars, then shooting Mario from a cannon to reach the top. Once on the roof, talk to Yoshi and he will give you 100 total lives while famously asking in error, "It that really you?" Another Easter egg that most people figured out on their own was what happens when you don't move Mario for several minutes. Hilariously, he'll begin to get tired, eventually falling asleep right where you left him. This is something that would become a staple of the series with a few changes from game to game. One strange thing about Super Mario 64 is its out-of-bound areas, where sometimes Nintendo left things, including a giant red F that can only be seen with a bit of camera manipulation. To see it, situate Mario in front of the middle painting leading to Cool Cool Mountain, then enter the look around camera mode so you can see behind the walls, spotting the giant red F in what would usually be a black void. A small detail I never noticed until recently is what happens when you continuously jump in water. If you look closely, a small fish will jump with Mario, which is a cool little Easter egg I haven't seen many people mention. The last thing I want to talk about is a famous nod towards a missing character in this game, Luigi. In the castle courtyard area where the Boos reside is a statue of a giant star that has the inscription that reads different things depending on the angle you look at it. Some people say that it reads Eternal Star, while others have noticed that it says, "Al is real," which is theorized to be a reference towards Luigi somehow being in the game. In 2020, this mystery behind Mario's brother was finally solved, as the game's files were uncovered that indicated Luigi was actually supposed to appear as a co-op character, but this was scrapped at the last minute to focus more on a single-player experience. The next game in the series, that was released for the GameCube in 2002, is Super Mario Sunshine, that features the FLUDD peripheral and places Mario out of his element in the tropical Delfino Isle. During the production of this game, Nintendo gave it the codename of Project Dolphin, which isn't only reference to the shape of the main island, and a few statues found on it, but also Delfino Isle literally translates to Dolphin Island from Italian to English. On Serena Beach, there's a hidden reference to the game's controller that's not obvious unless you look at it from above. As you can see, the level's two fountains and lounge areas resemble a GameCube controller. An Easter egg that I didn't notice until I played the Super Mario 3D All-Stars version of the game are the 8-bit, 16-bit, and 64-bit references that pop up at the very beginning when the FLUDD scans Mario. Here you can see footage from the original NES title, Super Mario World, and Super Mario 64 in the bottom left corner of the screen. Are the games connected after all? One of the most obscure Easter eggs from this game comes when you race against the very odd-looking Il Piantissimo, where if you look closely, you can tell he's actually in disguise. That's because this challenger is actually a small-time Legend of Zelda character named the Running Man that appeared in the Ocarina of Time game. This was a divisive issue for quite a while, until recently, a player hacked the game, removing his mask and revealing that it was in fact a Zelda Easter egg. Now, the final one from this game I want to talk about comes from one of the employees at the hotel, who makes some strange comments about purging it of ghosts. When you talk to him about the situation, he'll say, "Why can't someone suck up the ghost with a vacuum?" Which is obviously a nod at Luigi and his ghost fighting adventures in another GameCube title, Luigi's Mansion. Nintendo would eventually return Mario to his 2D platforming roots with new Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo DS that was released in 2005. One Easter egg that was actually present in the original NES title were the different amount of fireworks that would show up depending on the last 2 digits on the timer. Here, 11 sets off 1, 22 sets off 2, 33 sets off 3, and so on and so forth. There's even more that happens in terms of the end timer in mushroom houses, where 11, 22, and 33 will spawn normal items, 44, 55, and 66 will spawn a 1-up mushroom house, while 77, 88, and 99 will spawn a mega mushroom. One Easter egg I actually didn't know about at first until I beat the game was your ability to play as Luigi by pressing L, R, and A on the file select screen. Although this becomes apparent on the game's completion, you can however do this at any time as a bit of a secretive unlock. This doesn't mean much as Luigi has no unique features or controls, but it is just a fun nod to Mario's brother. The final Easter egg I want to mention is the game's much harder challenge mode. That's a feature that can be unlocked at any time on the overworld by pausing, then pressing L, R, X, X, Y, and Y. In this mode, the game doesn't let you travel backwards in each level, meaning that there are times that you'll most definitely get stuck or have a tough time dodging enemies. The next game in the series is Super Mario Galaxy, which was released for the Nintendo Wii in 2007. This title being set in the vastness of space means Mario has a much larger area to explore, and there are many Easter eggs waiting to be found. One of these is in the Boy Base Galaxy, where you can find a planet that's actually a giant Pokeball. This isn't the only Nintendo franchise mentioned in this game, as in the Space Junk Galaxy, you can actually find Olimar's ship from Pikmin, and in the Rolling Gizmo Galaxy, you can find a secret set of star bits that's actually in the shape of a Zelda rupee. Now, one thing that was added to the game that's really more of an Easter egg than anything else is the Red Star power-up. Once you have it, you can use it to fly to any galaxy that's accessible from the Comet Observatory, which quite honestly is the best use for this power-up in this game. Nintendo followed up on the new Super Mario Bros. Series, creating a game for the Nintendo Wii which was released in 2009. Probably my favorite Easter egg that will become a reoccurring secret in the Mario franchise is what happens to him when you reach the maximum life total for this game. When you get to 99 total lives, Mario will inexplicably lose his hat, which is just a strange sight to see. The only other Easter egg from this game I want to mention occurs when you're playing co-op and you die mid-level. The player that died can then hold buttons on the D-pad and press 1 or 2 to have some really weird sounds from the dead come out. Super Mario Galaxy 2, which was also released on the Nintendo Wii, has one of the creepiest Easter eggs of the franchise in Shiverburn Galaxy's Mysterious Watchers. To see these figures, you need to go into first-person view and look upwards towards the cliff's edge until you spot them looking down on you trying to steal your soul. One thing that upset many fans was the exclusion of Rosalina, as she was a pivotal character in the first Super Mario Galaxy title. She does however make a brief appearance at the very end of the game where you reunite her with Illuma, and she will also appear to give you your 242nd star of the game as a 100% Easter egg. There's also a cool Luigi Easter egg that can be found if you're playing as the character, then quit the game, returning to the title screen where now he can be seen flying with Luma instead of Mario. Another Luigi Easter egg happens when you complete the level as him, unlocking staff ghosts which you can race against in each level to see if you can beat their time. Another very small Easter egg can be found just before the final boss battle when you have to cross a lava lake on the moving blocks. If you look closely, you can see that these blocks resemble another famous Nintendo character, Kirby. The last one for this game I want to look at is the entire Twisty Trials Galaxy, as it's literally the subspace that can be found in a much older game, Super Mario Sunshine. This subspace is found on top of the lighthouse in Rico Harbor, where this area is pretty much the same with only minor changes made in the new version. The next handheld game in the series is Super Mario 3D Land, that was released for the 3DS in 2011, which combines aspects of all entries in the franchise and even references many other Nintendo titles. One of these is a Legend of Zelda Easter egg that can be found in the very out-of-place World 5-2. Right away, you'll notice that it looks very similar to a Zelda dungeon, with a top-down perspective, and this is only reaffirmed when you light the 4 torches, triggering the classic puzzle-solved music. Super Mario 3D Land also has a maximum lives Easter egg, where in this one, you have to collect a limit of 1,110 lives, then Super Mario will appear without a hat, and oddly, Small Mario will now appear with one. New Super Mario Bros. 2 is the second handheld game in that particular mini-series, which was released for the 3DS in 2012. Once again, this game has a maximum lives Easter egg, where if you get 1,110 lives, then both Mario and Luigi will lose their hats. Rainbow courses are another hidden addition to this game, which can be accessed by finishing a course in each world with a specific time left on the timer. In World 1, you need to end the course with 11 as the last 2 digits, World 2 needs to read 22, World 3 you need 33, etc, etc. These rainbow levels are extremely helpful as they offer massive amounts of coins and 8 red coins that will spawn a golden flower power-up. Of course, Luigi is a secret character you can unlock by beating the game, then going to the file select and holding L and R, then selecting which one you want to play. His controls are no different than Mario's in this game, but he will have slightly different looking costumes when he's powered up. Finally, the last set of Easter eggs from this entry I want to go over are all based on different title screens that you can unlock by doing a few specific things. The first is collecting 1 million total coins, which is something much easier than you think if you just find each rainbow course. An even rarer title screen that you can unlock needs you to collect a whopping 9,999,999 coins, which changes the picture to a golden raccoon Mario statue surrounded by even more coins. The next game in the franchise, and last to be released in the new Super Mario Bros. Series, came out on the Wii U in November of 2012. My absolute favorite Easter egg in this game has to be the secret records house that appears through a pipe after you beat the final Bowser boss battle. In this record house, really cool stats are kept like number of deaths, number of 1-ups from flagpoles, coins collected, Goombas stomped on, and many, many more. Like past games in the series, hitting a level's end flagpole at specific times will reveal a secret. Usually this is just fireworks, but in this one you can actually gain specific items. 11, 22, or 33 as the last 2 digits will give you a super mushroom, 44 will give you a fire flower, 55 will give you an ice flower, 66 a tiny mushroom, 77 an acorn, where 88 or 99 will actually give you a star. The only other thing I want to mention from this game is your ability to play as the blue toad, as this isn't an apparent option at first, where the character is actually set to default yellow. To change this, you just need to hold L, then press A when you're in the character select menu, picking Toad. The next game in the series that was released is Super Mario 3D World, which was a spiritual sequel to the 3DS title, coming out for the Wii U in 2013. This game has a crazy amount of Easter eggs, but the most notable are the hidden Luigis that were added to specific levels in celebration of the game being released on the 30th anniversary of the creation of Luigi. These are mostly found in 8-bit form, with my favorite coming up just before the first Bowser boss battle in World 1, where in the background you can see a giant one walking in the water. Another Luigi-based Easter egg that was included in this game is the Luigi Bros. NES arcade minigame that's either unlocked by beating World 8 or having a new Super Luigi U save file on your Wii U console. This is literally just a reskin of the Mario Bros. Arcade game, but both players appear as Luigi. There's also a Super Mario Galaxy Easter egg in the form of the unlockable character, Rosalina. This Mother of the Lumas becomes playable after you reach Star World and beat the second level, appropriately named Super Galaxy. I almost didn't include Super Mario Run in this video as it's a mobile game that doesn't really feel like a proper title in the series, but it does have an interesting mode that plays remix songs from the franchise. This is called Remix 10, which is actually a reference to a level in the Rhythm Heaven Fever game, which is by far the hardest challenge from that Wii title. Just take a listen.
Double up.
The most recent game in the series is Super Mario Odyssey, which is released for the Nintendo Switch in the fall of 2017. Although this entry feels like no other before it, it's actually jam-packed full of amazing references to past games, including where Mario made his debut, the arcade version of Donkey Kong. This is clearly seen in one of the game's best levels, the Metro Kingdom, which is also known as New Donk City. There are billboards, street names, stores, and even characters that are in direct reference to the old arcade series, and this is all topped off by a festival that puts Mario back in his classic 2D element. New Donk City also holds a very clever throwback in the form of a cinema that's actually playing a level from the original NES game, World 1-1. Here you return to Mario's roots, but instead, here you return to Mario's roots while collecting 2 stars playing this throwback level. This isn't the only time that old Mario titles are referenced, as most costumes you can buy from the in-game store draw some inspiration from past titles. There are way too many to go over with you guys in just this video, but some notable standouts to me are the Dr. Mario costume, Builder Mario costume, Space Mario costume, and Pirate Mario, just to name a few. There's also the very interesting Satellaview Mario, which is actually a reference to the failed SNES internet add-on that Nintendo has never really mentioned since it was discontinued. It's quite obvious that this game draws strong influence from Super Mario 64, as it's all about collecting certain amounts of things in a level to open a door to the next level and so on. However, the entirety of the Mushroom Kingdom is basically dedicated to that N64 classic, which changes moons to stars, while topping it off with an amazing visit to the castle courtyard. One Easter egg from this game I was surprised that many people didn't know about was that the globe found on the Odyssey actually plays music if you have Mario continuously bonk off it. Just listen. To be honest, there's so many more Easter eggs from this game that I didn't mention, but I could literally be here all day doing that, and maybe that deserves a separate video. Alright, that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. I really hope you did enjoy this one. If you did, please leave a like, comment below what you thought about it, and if I left any out, which I'm sure I did, and also subscribe to my channel. I hope you guys all have a good day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!